specifically about the body cameras. For us, is how do we get this right? It's not about when you know, deploying this across the board, but actually deploying it in a way in which we can get this right on behalf of the citizens that we represent. And so I believe that that's what the chief is doing. We were behind schedule in deploying that because of some technology issues that we can talk about specifically. But as it pertains to the body cameras not being effective, actually we think that it's different. And the body cameras are giving us information on how we can do a better and more effective job of actually providing that service to the citizens. But the chief can talk a little bit more about that.
Thank you. First of all, just to correct a couple things. We did go through an RPD process with 5 cameras. There are a number of officers that tested the cameras. This was not the one that was the least recommended or suggested through that process. We can talk about more detail on that later. Fact is, we are deploying the cameras. We set up a very complex technology system so that we can connect to the cars. We are not seeing a pattern of the cameras turning off inadvertently. We are in fact generating, I mean, I don't have a number for you, I can get one for you. Even with the cameras we have out, we are generating a tremendous amount of video. I mean, in the hundreds and close, we'll be approaching even more than that number of videos. This week we're continuing our deployment, and by the end of this week we'll double the number of cameras that we're out, and we're continuing. Because of some technical issues that we worked through, which we've talked about before, many of the issues had to do with connectivity in the car, so that we could keep the officers on the road and not have them come off the road to manage the system. And frankly, we chose a more difficult route for that reason. There were systems that were simpler, and there were some alternatives, but in the end, we tried to balance not only having a good, effective body camera program, but trying to mitigate the impact of officers losing time providing police services to run the cameras and to label them and to get them uploaded and all that. So frankly, we did choose a more difficult route, and that was done intentionally because we think long-term it's going to be better for the police department in the city of Rochester. So we'll continue. As the mayor said, we're maybe about 4 weeks behind our deployment schedule. We are still hoping to have all 500 cameras issued sometime in March. We did build some cushion time into our project plan, which we'll try to catch up. So in the end, we want this to work for everybody, for the community, for the officers, for the city government. And again, we chose a more difficult route intentionally, and at this point I'm not going to apologize for that. There are times I wish I chose a simpler system because we could have put them out much more quickly, but again, I was trying to think what was in the best long-term interest of the police department in the city. We're releasing all the body camera video we have of officers that responded. The 2 officers that responded with body cameras got there after most of the activity was done. Not all of it, but most of it. Most of the video we are releasing that would be relevant to your questions, what happened, is actually blue light camera video from the corner of Hollenbeck and Avenue Way. And I would like to point out that, at least to my knowledge, we've never released blue light camera video like that before, but because of the concern here, we worked with the district attorney's office. So again, I think when you look at the video, there's a lot of focus because of the body camera program, but most of the video that's going to be relevant to what happened is going to be from the blue light camera.
Chief, when you mentioned internal discipline, wouldn't it go a long way to help restore some of the confidence the community has if they knew what type of discipline that was? I mean, personnel issues, I know there's a lot of things you can say why you can't, but it would go a long way if somebody knew that somebody was being disciplined and what that discipline specifically was.
Okay, well, first of all, we all know we've talked about this before in the 58th of the New York Civil Rights Law. I'm strictly limited into what I can release about police performance and discipline matters. That's the law. And so, we go to the law department and try to find out what we're allowed to say and not say, and I do try to follow that.
Chief, if I understood you correctly, there's no issue with the cameras, right? So are you calling?
Excuse me a minute.
Are you calling your officers liars? Because the allegations are that the cameras turned off in this incident when a suspect they were arrested on the street bumped into them. So which one is it? Are they working? Do they cut off abruptly, or there's no issue? What is it, sir?
Is there another question?
That's what I thought.
What are we going to see in the blue light video?
I'm sorry?
What are we going to be seeing in the blue light video?
Again, you're going to be seeing the events that led up to the initial arrest. Before the YouTube video showed the arrest of the woman. So it's quite lengthy. I think there's a total, all combined, nearly 3 hours of video, and we're putting it all out there.
So we see what happens before that YouTube video?
you do see quite a bit, not all of it, because you'll see the the blue light cameras shows a lot of the events preceding that.
Do we see that woman backhand the officer?
You do see parts of it, yeah. I mean, it's 3 hours of video, and again, I've looked at it multiple times, so I mean, you'll be able to see for yourself. But again, you know, it's a lot of the time leading up to what happened, and some of the time after the events occurred.
Chief, what would have happened had this not been caught on video by a citizen who knew his First Amendment protected U.S. constitutional based right to record? What would have happened? We wouldn't be here, right or wrong, sir?
You have a question?
That's what I thought.
Chief of this morning says, you having seen the video, maybe it's too early to say, can you say you think your officers reacted properly or not?
Well, I'll say this, because there's a pending criminal case, I have to be careful of the detail I go into. I will say I think that the initial arrests were clearly proper arrests, and you know, you'll see a lot more background. Part of the problem with releasing this video is I don't want to taint a criminal process. There's also an internal investigation that's in progress. So it's my job to be fair to the community and to the officers to keep an open mind until not only do I see video, but the officers have an opportunity to explain what the video is showing, to explain their justification, and to articulate what they did and why.
Chief, what is the ongoing issue with the RPD violating citizens' rights to record?
Pardon me?
Nazir did say yesterday, though, that there was an issue with when a body camera comes into contact. He says that it did cut out at the point of the arrest when the officer made contact
Right.
with the woman, making it even just appear that he was turning it off. Is that an issue that you've actually found?
That issue happened once, but I will say that the blue light camera shows that whole sequence of events. So in this particular case, you know, we will have video. You will see that officer throughout the entire time. We think that's what happened in one particular case. Also, frankly, there's been cases where cameras have been knocked off. This has happened all over the country. It happened in Louisiana during a shooting situation, a deadly force situation. So, you know, any technology is not perfect. One of the things, though, we did when we negotiated our contract is as cameras get upgraded, we negotiated into our contract the ability to buy upgraded cameras at the same cost. So we're already looking at vendors to see if there is a better solution. The other thing I want to bear in mind is this. There's a lot of focus on the camera. The camera is only the front end of the system. Another reason we went with this system, because unlike a number of other systems, we can use different cameras. You know, our storage system, our network, our means of uploading the video, we can switch out cameras. If we find a better camera that works better for the officers and is more reliable, we can do that with this system. A number of the systems we looked at, we were locked into one particular type of camera. So again, this is a very complex process. It's moving forward. We think ultimately we'll be successful, and we'll just see when we get there.
Chief, why do your officers keep violating citizens' First Amendment right to record,
Chief,
sir?
let me ask you a question regarding the criminal.
All right, guys, thank you.
I